What's going on? Vikings take down the Texans in game one of J.J. McCarthy's 2025 campaign. Final score versus the Texans 20-10. Breaking it all down next on the Vikings squad party. But first, we got to meet our panel.
What's up? Sam Ekstrom, Viking Squad Show. I was in the building for the first half. I'll give you the bird's eye view perspective on a shoddy first-team defensive performance.
I'm Luke Braun. I do Locked On Vikings, and you, dear listener, are having a better day than Brett Rippon did.
And I'm Ron Johnson, former Gophers and NFL wide receiver. And hey, it's a great day to be a Gopher. Let's go, Max Brosmer.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad, sponsored by Game Time. Everything Minnesota Vikings, every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Our first Viking Squad Show postcast, if you will, right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Remember, you can always find the show on audio if you'd like to listen. That's under the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast feed. And, of course, on our Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel as well. Make sure you like and subscribe. Keep up with all the action. Fellas, lots to get into after this one. The J.J. McCarthy show, that's the A topic. Got our first sample size of him on the field after, 364 days. I want to play some biggest risers and fallers. Whose stock is up? Whose stock might be down? Some injury news, sad news on the Rondale Moore front today. Plus, maybe a quick little preview of the Patriots joint practice or maybe the preseason game next Saturday at the bank as well. Ron, I always like to start with you. The bank was packed. They were loud. They were on their feet for the new prince, J.J. McCarthy, right? One drive, goes 12 plays, 4 for 7, 30 yards. Tell us what you liked out of his first action back on the field in 364 days.
Decisive. He was really decisive with the ball. He kind of knew exactly where to go when it was supposed to go there. You could see him check the first read, then go to the second read. Even when it was time to run, his legs looked pretty good. He got out of bounds, but he made sure to get the first down and didn't slide or fall short. I think the one rolling out to his left, the very first pass, the only negative is he threw it behind Jordan Addison, but you know what? Rolling to his left, throwing with his right, 365 days of no football, no contact, no nothing. It's a good start to get his feet wet. But 4 for 7, you would have liked to seen maybe a touchdown scoring drive, but other than that, I think KLC had saw enough.
Yeah, Sam, you were there live. On the broadcast, tough to tell, but looked like, first of all, that place was pretty packed for a preseason game, mind you. But your experience live witnessing the J.J. McCarthy show. One drive, again, though, pretty efficient, like Ron said.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bar is set pretty low for preseason atmosphere, and when you get a little morsel of majority of starters playing on the field, yeah, people were pretty fired up, and they gave the introduction of, at quarterback, number 9, J.J. McCarthy, and that got a good round of applause. So it was a good moment. It was a fun drive. Jordan Addison laying out, making plays. I mean, that's the biggest upside of that first drive is that the top receiver that J.J. McCarthy was on the field with, he had great chemistry with, and a couple of highly accurate pinpoint throws, including the diving catch by Addison going toward that far sideline. That's a high-level connection between the starting quarterback and a receiver that, he's not going to have the ability to build chemistry with him for the first 3 weeks of the season. So good to get a little bit of that in now. And I just loved how effortless it looked when he ran for that first down. I think it was on third down as well. When he got to the sticks on the sideline, didn't take a hit. He just made it look easy, right? He's quick, he's spry, and we haven't seen a lot of that. And I know that Darnold raised the bar from Cousins a little bit last year, but McCarthy's got some wiggle, and the fans appreciated everything he did, even though it didn't result in a TD. Got the field goal. We saw Reichard can one. That was good, too. Really a pretty encouraging opening drive.
I was surprised to see how much of the first team played. We saw Hawkinson, Addison. I would have never expected those guys to play. But maybe this is a bit of a shift in philosophy from Kevin O'Connell. You want to get everybody out there for one drive, get everybody's feet wet, right? A little bit of a warm up. And yeah, it was a nice drive. With McCarthy himself, there were a couple of misses that were kind of dangerous. A couple of those high ones that sail over that could have been really bad picks if a safety happened to be, in a different coverage shell. But it's hard to be too mad because those weren't crazy misses, right? They were ones like the one to Addison where it was, you wish it was on the other shoulder, but it was still catchable. And it's not like the worst pass you've ever seen or anything like that. And then that's mixed in with a whole bunch of really, really nice plays like the one you guys have been talking about on the 4th down where he just sees that free space. He's okay, I'm just going to get it. I could maybe try to fit one in. I think it was Lucky Jackson that was on a spot and there was a little bit of room. Maybe you could try to fit one in, but why do that? Just go scamper for it and take your move, the chains. The diving one to Addison. I think that pass was really good. I think that timing was really good. And I think it had to be a diving catch because of where the defender was. I want to double check that when I can see it a little slower. But with a guy like in his lap too, making that really nice play. So definitely more good than bad. I can nitpick the accuracy a little bit, but that's also kind of what we expected. We wanted the mental to be good because he had that year of just studying it all year. And the mental was good. That's where we wanted it to be. And the accuracy, the physical, the mechanics, maybe still a little bit of a work in progress, but certainly at least where I expected it, where I wanted it to be, if not a little ahead.
Yeah, we'll see what the All 22 says, tomorrow or I guess Monday morning. But I echo all three of your thoughts. I think it's exactly what you wanted as far as being consistent, right? Keeping plays alive, moving in the pocket, using his legs at the right moments. That fourth down, the money downs as KOC calls them. Luke, to your point, you love to see him hit that 3rd down dig route to Lucky Jackson, but. Again, the bigger takeaways, throwing off different platforms, angles, throwing on the run.
Mm-hmm.
He checked all those boxes today, and that's really what we're looking for as we build up to week 1 when things really start to matter. Also, in a perfect world, would have loved to see one bullet or one bomb deep downfield just to see that arm.
A little more
but
aggressive.
we got plenty more time for that, right?
And
KOC,
to the one Ron was talking about, the rolling on or throwing on the run to his left. That's like really new for him. He didn't do a lot of that at Michigan at all. And I don't know how much they had him do in like camp or anything last year, but that's a fairly new skill. So the fact that it's complete at all, I'm like really happy with. And then you just hope that with a couple more years of experience with that kind of thing, that they start to get, to land like exactly where they're supposed to, like Kirk used to do.
Sam, you were live, so you didn't see this. Maybe Ron didn't check it out as well. But KOC at halftime, the quick little coach halftime interview, he said the vets. He went up to the vets, Ryan Kelly, TJ Hawkinson, asked him, hey, how'd it go? How was it in there? All of them said the huddle was sharp. Things were smooth and on time, which is where it all starts again when we're talking about assessing. What are we doing? We're assessing one drive in preseason game 1. So I thought he checked a lot of boxes and good momentum builder in the next week versus the Patriots. I'd like to just keep moving down the depth chart here. Sam Howell, pretty lights out. You can't ask for more than this. 11 for 13, 105 yards, 0 sacks, and a rushing TD. He seems pretty entrenched as the number 2 as of tomorrow morning. And by the time we get to week 1.
I really think he needed that because he like Rippon was on his heels in camp. And Rippon has a pretty bad day, sails a couple, statue in the pocket. Howell has a pretty good day. Brosmer has a fantastic day. So suddenly Rippon goes from maybe QB2 to maybe QB4 and out. And Brosmer has now done what he has to do to give himself the real opportunity. I'm bummed we lost Ron before he got to take his lap about it.
I know.
But I'll do this for him, and I'm sure he'll like this because I was pretty much I thought Brosmer was not going to get much of an opportunity at all. I think he did just enough in camp to say, okay, you get a quarter. You get a quarter in this game. What can you do? And he looks fantastic. So now I'm anticipating in future games, you're not going to see any JJ McCarthy. You're going to see one drive of Howell, and now you're going to see Rippon and a bunch more Brosmer. Now he gets a bunch more of an opportunity if he isn't over Rippon already after this one. I think the difference was that drastic. But it also matters a lot for Sam Howell, who had a horrible camp by all accounts. Disastrous camp. Maybe we're getting cut. Maybe we're calling the Falcons about Kirk Cousins to be the backup. Like that's what we're talking about with how bad Sam Howell played in camp. And then to have a much better preseason game, put all that crap to rest. That a good preseason game goes so much farther than a bad camp will go. Yeah. And we can kind of settle this depth chart down a little bit. Okay, Howell's our backup. We don't have to go into emergency mode. And now it just gets to this like interesting QB3 battle, and Brosmer's earned that.
I'm surprised if he was that bad, if he was that atrocious in camp, that he would come out and be the number 2 over Brett Rippon.
The reports I got this week from some people that have been watching it closely.
Well, I guess how bad was Brett Rippon then? If Sam Howell was that bad, right?
It had to
why
be
isn't Brett Rippon
so
just
bad.
a guy then?
It had to be so bad in camp for how, and I have to think that the people deciding to like split second and third team reps between these two guys are shocked by what happened today.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to play head games yet either. I don't think they wanted to demote Sam Howell at this point in the game. We are still quite a bit away from week 1, right? That decision doesn't need to get made yet. You don't need to ruin the guy's morale. Like he's kind of a rehabilitation project anyway. Give him some time to learn the offense. Give him a couple weeks. The reports have been miserable. The people that have talked to me have said that it's been really, really bad out there. So for him to engineer 2 drives, 12 plays, 40 yards, field goal, 14 plays, 94 yards, touchdown, and a couple of dynamite throws, that's big. That's big for his confidence going forward. I've never been on the Rippon train. I don't see the appeal. I don't see anything that he's done in the league yet. I mean, that's just got to be a belief in what they've seen in practice going against backups. I still think Sam Howell has the inside track. I think the bigger argument is, and it's very realistic, that Max Brosmer won his way onto this team over Brett Rippon. That's the real competition here, I think.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, KOC's a head coach, right? He's got his fingerprints and everything, but at the end of the day, like, he's a quarterback coach. Those are his babies, right? And you got to think, all in all, you would have liked to see a better performance from Brett Rippon, as we've talked about. But all in all, I feel like KOC's going to be sleeping pretty good tonight. From top to bottom, 3 of those 4 quarterbacks look pretty sharp. We can just keep moving down the depth chart if you guys want. I mean, the running backs, I think, by the time we get to
getting interesting too
in a little bit here, I think Xavier Scott's going to be on all our, bigger winners from today. Xavier Scott looked good, man. He's thick, boy. This is my first time seeing him up close and personal. I feel like just consistently from rep to rep. That guy's thick, man. 7 carries, 40 yards. I think averaged like 5.7, almost 6 yards per carry. Busted a 12-yarder, which was fun to see. A little explosion, a little burst. Jordan Mason, again, back to your point, Luke, too. Just circle back. Jordan made all of them. All the first-team boys were in there, man. The 4 offensive line starters, as you mentioned, T.J. Hawkinson, Addison doing some damage. But Jordan Mason with those 4 carries as well, kind of nice to see. But Xavier Scott, of the Trey Stewarts and Ty Chandlers and everybody else, Xavier Scott's got to be the big winner of that group.
For sure.
And Ty Chandler didn't have a good game either, in the run game at least. He was active in the pass game, but didn't show a lot of explosiveness in the run. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He did fine. He looked less explosive. That's also because he was playing against better defenders. The holes are going to be a little bit tighter. Xavier Scott has more room to work with. And the other kind of wet blanket I might throw here, even though I fully believe Xavier Scott has made that RB3 battle interesting. They were even talking about it on the Fox 9 broadcast with Pete Bursich and Ben Lieber and Paul Allen. But pass protection is going to be in Ty Chandler's favor pretty strongly, I think. Xavier Scott had some struggle moments there, and running through big wide open holes and making 13 linebackers miss is very cool. But those little things on the edges, when you're running back 3 and you maybe have to come in on a 3rd down, that kind of stuff is going to stick out a lot more, even though it might not be where your eye is when you're watching the game live. So that's something that still might keep this from being like a full runaway for Xavier Scott. That said, Xavier Scott is absolutely one of the stars of the day. Great game. And some of the blocking up front with that second team line, Blake Brandel at right tackle. Yeah. I thought Joe Huber had a really nice game as an undrafted rookie.
Love him.
And Michael Juergens had an awful game. Again, just dreadful. The butt snap thing might be his fault too. That was a thing in camp. Although it didn't.
What happens in week 5 when Ryan Kelly dings up that ankle or something?
I'm looking at other rosters right now because Zeke Correll goes down. So even his primary competition gets hurt. We'll have to see on that. Yeah. But by and large, that second team blocking, especially on that right side, was really good for Xavier Scott.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%. We've heard all offseason, and proof's in the pudding when you go make the moves that they made to improve the obviously offensive line. You use your first round pick on a guard. They want to run the ball. They want to run the ball better this year. It's going to be interesting, to both of your guys' points, what this game and kind of pecking order looks like next week. Does Xavier Scott start pecking in a little bit to Ty Chandler, or does he just come out and is he the RB3 next week? Probably maybe a little bit too soon for that, but nonetheless, going to be interesting. That's going to be one of, the many questions I have in the back of my mind as far as, just kind of the reps as far as those go, and then just who's on which team as far as Ty Chandler and Xavier Scott goes as well. Plenty more deep dive coming up. Lot in my head spinning. I've got to talk about and touch on some injury news, unfortunate injury news for Rondale Moore. That's going to lead us into some interesting wide receiver conversations, especially when we talk about wide receiver 3 through 6. That's all coming up, though, right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Monarch Money. You ever go check your bank account and go, where did my money go? Dining out, online shopping, entertainment, so easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your own personal CFO, Monarch Money, gives you full visibility and control over your finances. And Monarch Money is not just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending, all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and instead you start building some wealth. I know when I started using Monarch Money, I was spending way too much money on streaming services. I had them all: Max, Netflix, Apple TV, Disney, Hulu, you name it. I had it, but now I budget smarter. I save more than ever. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at Monarch Money for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your entire first year. This episode also brought to us by Yahoo Sports. This year, myself and the entire squad, we're playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league out there to celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness. Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues. Killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo. The lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team standing. With the season around the corner, now's the time to get your league together. Give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, of course, you can still play head-to-head, private leagues, join a public league as well. But stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Okay, before we get to stock up, stock down, injury news, Rondale Moore, he was hurt on the first punt return, it was just gutting to watch because it's bad enough to watch anybody go down like that. The cart coming out, the whole 9 yards. It's another thing to watch a guy who we all know, he's battled his way back, multiple injuries, had the leg injury last year, missed all of last year, to go down in the very first preseason game and get carted off. Absolutely hate to see it. Any other injuries I may have missed? Because that's the only one I have written down
Zeke
here.
Correll.
Yep.
Okay.
Zeke Correll. Kevin O'Connell said after the game, right ankle fracture for him.
Oh, boy.
That's going to be pretty rough for Corell. For Rondale Moore, he said a, quote, pretty significant left knee injury, and he will have an MRI. It's worth pointing out that the right knee was the one that he was rehabbing all year. That was the one he hurt last time. So this is the other knee, which sometimes that can happen when you're favoring that knee for a long time because you're rehabbing the other one. It can put more wear and tear on the opposite side, and that can cause that to happen. And sometimes it's just dead on bad luck. Either way, that sucks.
Greg
you
Childs.
see it so much.
Talk about bad luck. Greg Childs. Unbelievable. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a pretty heartbreaking photo. Like, we've got our partnership with USA Today Photos, and there's a pretty heartbreaking photo in their catalog today of Rondale Moore with the towel over his head, just again, because remember, he missed most of last year. This was going to be a great rehabilitation year for him to work in this offense and be a factor. I truly think he was going to be a factor, and seeing that one live, I mean, I haven't seen the replay. He was moving so quickly and got stopped so fast, and clearly got twisted up, and immediate, teammates going to a knee, the coach working his way across the field to check on him, the card coming out, all the telltale signs, terrible. Certainly a ripple effect that from a football standpoint that we'll get into with the depth chart and, Ty Felton getting elevated and things like that. But brutal for Rondale Moore, because I thought that he had a chance to sort of be the guy that gave Ty Felton the redshirt year, right? He was going to be the speed guy. Ty Felton could learn from him and then do the same thing next year. And you lose that now. Seems like a season ender for Rondale Moore. Don't have clarification, but it does not look good.
The wide receiver room now after the injury and the game itself too, what the guys did on the field. How are we feeling about this, 3 through 6 battle? Obviously, Jalen Naylor locked that 3 spot up. It feels like Lucky Jackson, man. I'm
Sure
buying into a little
clarified.
bit of the hype. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it sure clarified, didn't it? Lucky
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Jalen Naylor, kind of they're doing their 3-4 thing.
And
If
can I
Rondale
just
Moore
say, after
is
3 years
removed,
of Lucky Jackson in camp and preseason,
Yeah.
it's just nice to see him finally just like he's up there now. It finally feels
Yeah.
like he's entrenched in that top tier, in that upper echelon. Yeah.
it was a bummer about that 3rd down and 4 that JJ McCarthy missed, that because it looked like that would have been a good opportunity to like really go up and get one and show something. But yeah, good, fine stuff from those guys. But then it kind of clarifies now with like Jay-Sean Jones and Ty Felton kind of then being the next guys. Tim Jones, catastrophic day for a guy whose whole thing is supposed to be special teams. You can't get 2 special teams penalties, way behind the 8 ball now. He's going to have to make some active plays, I think, in the next 2 preseason games to sort of get rid of that bad will. And meanwhile, Ty Felton has a phenomenal day on special teams. So if those guys do end up competing for any particular spots, Ty Felton's way ahead in that, also gets a couple catches from scrimmage. And then, beyond that, you kind of have interesting, Miles Price catches a touchdown. Dante Fleming has one cool catch, and bummer of a drop on a goal line, and all those kind of fighting for the practice squad slots. I'm just happy Silas Bolden is alive. Every time he gets hit, it sure looks like a podcaster getting hit out there, because that is how big he is.
We got to talk about the dude we planted our flag in. 3 of us, anyways, planted our flag. Tim Jones. I thought Tim Jones was just going to be like the Trent Sherfield this year. He struggled, man. He had a tough day, and all of a sudden it was so bad. You start to really think about it, just how convoluted, I guess, this wide receiver room is past that 4 and 5. Boy, I don't know if how much longer. I'm not saying he's getting cut tomorrow or anything, but I just feel like he is not ramping up to maybe make the roster like I expected him to be as that special teams guy.
Vindication here.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
I was off the Tim Jones bandwagon. I mean, here's what you have right now in week 1, 2, and 3. You've got Justin Jefferson. You've got Jalen Naylor. ... That's your receiver depth chart with Addison suspended for those.
And
3
Lucky.
games.
I think it's Lucky.
And it feels like Lucky. It feels like and he was playing early in this game. Get to know the name. Get to know Lucky Jackson, who, by the way, we talked about this on our other squad show. We do this during the week too. A lot of people in here, so if you're a first timer, thank you. But we talked about this. Lucky Jackson is not like a recent UDFA camp body.
No.
He's 28 years old. He's played in the UFL, the CFL. He's been with the Vikings for 3 years. So from a veteran standpoint, from knowing the scheme standpoint, he actually has some feathers in his cap, and he's making plays out there. And he had a wonderful catch from Howell on that touchdown drive. So I think not only is Lucky Jackson a great story, but he might actually be pretty trustworthy as a bit player in the early season when the wide receiver 3 is wide open. Ty Felton is so young. And then, I mean, is Dante Fleming going to work his way into the conversation? Ty Felton going to get a lot of work. It's very interesting at this position. I don't know, Braun, how you would handicap it at this point, but major question marks when the Addison suspension hits in week 1.
I think right now Lucky's the one getting most of the reps. I think it was supposed to be Lucky and Rondale and kind of, rotating between those guys. But with Rondale Moore removed from the conversation, and in my opinion, Sam, I'm now 100%. I mean, it doesn't take a lot for me to get off of a Tim Jones size bandwagon. Okay. 2 special teams penalties when that's supposed to be the point of view, and then functionally nothing from scrimmage. Pretty easy to kind of count him out until he does something else in a new preseason game to get himself back in. That brings you back, Ty Felton, who didn't get a ton of run, and I don't anticipate a lot either. Maybe you could temporarily put one of those guys for 3 games on the roster. I think Fleming had a rough time. I think it might even be Silas Bolden if you want him to return punts, because he was the guy doing it. It might even be Silas Bolden trying to return punts. I think he has the best route to the 53 for a hot minute. But also with Rondale Moore getting hurt, you maybe revisit the Isaiah Rodgers thing. You maybe look at somebody else. Miles Price has been in that conversation as well. I think there's a lot of game left to be played. These next 2 preseason games are going to go a long way. But the picture that we were all kind of befuddled by earlier this week, that 4-6, clarified a lot, but just for kind of a bummer of a reason.
Good segue. We've talked about pretty much most of the offensive players here so far. We'll get to the defense here in a little bit, but stock up, right? Stock up, stock down. We've kind of touched on Xavier Scott, big winner. Ty Felton, big winner. Tim Jones, maybe a loser. Anybody else, second team, third team, you name it. Anybody else, special teams as well, throw that into the mix. Just somebody that you were pleased with, somebody that, just kind of stood out. Which players boosted those Madden ratings a pinch or two today?
Will Fries. Fries and Ryan Kelly looked awesome. We should probably talk about Donovan Jackson.
I was just going to say.
But on just the offense, if you're asking, I would say those guys. Tight ends kind of didn't do anything. We talked about Xavier Scott, but I think that first team right side O-line had some really, really nice run blocks. There was an awesome stunt pickup on one of the plays J.J. McCarthy hit on the right side between Fries and Brian O'Neill. It's just Donovan Jackson did not have a good drive.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of people saying in the chat, and we got to agree with this. Gabe Murphy, big stock up, and you have to be careful when guys make plays in the preseason. So I don't want to take away the flowers of Khalif Hilassi. He got thrown gifts. I mean, he got thrown a couple of easy balls by Graham Mertz, and yes, he caught them and he returned them in the right direction. So props for that, but I don't think it's a meaningful display of his skill set, whereas I felt like Gabe Murphy against the twos was making legitimate plays. He was earning his pressures. He was getting sacks on the quarterback. He had a chase down that was really cool on the near sideline. I think he got half a sack for that. And remember, he was highly regarded out of UCLA. That was like a prize UDFA last year. I think we kind of forgot about him, but he's absolutely making a push to be your kind of the Jihad Ward, if you will, like the fourth edge.
It reminds me of like the DJ Wanham Pat Jones when they had Hunter and Everson. Like, they were churning those guys. Zimmer just had 3 or 4 of them in his back pocket. And now all of a sudden, year 2, here comes Gabe Murphy. And it feels like behind Dallas Turner, we've known it's top heavy with the big 3. But is there going to be a fourth guy in the mix they can lean on if somebody gets dinged up, if somebody needs a breather at a certain point in a long gauntlet 17-game season, which I'm sure there will be. But it feels like Gabe Murphy, as of one game, preseason game, we're not out at practice, day in and day out. But Gabe Murphy, man, explosive off that edge. Very, very intriguing. Bo Richter, obviously, it was kind of a coin flip for me. I just didn't know.
Yeah, ups and downs.
Just based off, camp notes, Alec Lewis, the athletic, just what we're hearing, what we're seeing. But Gabe Murphy really won that battle, I guess, today for sure. Other defensive winners that you guys could think of. Jalen Redmond seems to be stock up just in general. I'm not saying he had the best game in the world, but he didn't have a T.Y. McGill preseason game. Let's just put it that way. But again, just feels like in that defensive line group, top heavy with the big 3, and then it's just a hodgepodge of like, who's going to work their way? Who's going to be the cream that rises to the top of this? Taki, Redmond. Who's it going to be? Redmond just feels like there's just good mojo with Redmond right now. And I don't know if he's going to end up being the 4 when it's all said and done. But right now, I guess that's where my money would be.
Yes, I would say that even if there aren't plays being made, you can still read into decisions with depth chart. And Taki was not in that first group. I mean, I think we suspected in part that we might see the main 3 guys sit, which they did. And then the backups, a.k.a. the starters in this game, Redmond, Levi Drake Rodriguez, and I would have thought Taki, but no, they put in the rookie Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins in there to play with the ones, and that there is something telling about that. But maybe a greater conversation, too, and Braun, I don't know if you have a strong take on this. First team defense, 1 drive, don't want to overreact, wasn't great. I mean, I think they only got them in 1 third down and did not stop them. So, and Davis Mills kind of sliced him up, and Houston drove down the field on him.
So I forget who pointed this out. Somebody on Blue Sky who does not cover the Vikings, but understands the Brian Flores defense, noted that they never changed personnel on that whole drive. There was no rotation or anything like that. And I'm pretty sure all the other looks were vanilla. I don't know if they blitzed a lot. This is how Brian Flores' defense is going to look in the preseason, because the whole point of it is the exotic stuff that you're not going to show in the preseason. So my concern level is at a 0 out of 10 there. I think this is more about figuring out the depth chart. And I'll probably have the strongest take. I think Jalen Redmond had a phenomenal game. He was legit unblockable. I think I don't remember which side Ed Ingram was on, but Ed Ingram, one of those guards had a bad day, and it was because of Jalen Redmond. And he was in the backfield a lot. Sometimes Gabe Murphy just beat him to the quarterback, so he gets the stat, so it doesn't like turn into the production. But I thought Jalen Redmond had a phenomenal day. I think Levi Drake Rodriguez had an up and down day, and then Taki Taimani, who he is with the next group, and it's been that way since it's been that way in camp as well. So you would say, okay, he's kind of behind Levi Drake Rodriguez, but then he has a couple of disruptions and makes you second guess that as well. Thought that was all super interesting. One guy that had gotten a lot of talk when they signed him as an undrafted rookie was Chaz Chambliss. That is not an NFL player. That was catastrophically bad. I thought his pass rushes looked like, that's a college player trying to play in the NFL. That is not going to work out. I
love when Braun says catastrophic to describe a game. I don't know. It just
it's just time. Like, that is just not NFL. I mean, there's like playing NFL edge rusher poorly, and then there's playing not NFL. Like, it looks like you grabbed a fan out of the stands and said, okay, rush one of these guys. So that's one that I feel like we can sort of quietly put away. But yeah, Gabe Murphy solidifying his hold is probably the star of the defense to me. And you know who I'm going to call out as somebody who had a pretty good day, fourth quarter. Maybe you didn't even think about it. Maybe it was he made a play while Justin Jefferson was talking. Dorian Mausey had a couple of interesting moments in special teams, almost a pick, had a blitz, almost a sack. Like, really, a lot of disruption and good play created chaos, and just like didn't quite log the stats that usually come with that because he was just like an inch short. But I thought he had a really interesting day, and I don't know if he has a real path to the roster, but in terms of, fighting with the other Auburn linebackers for and other guys for that off ball kind of practice squad slot, I think he made some good points.
I just want to circle back, Sam. I know you're bummed about that first team defense. I just want to say no Van Gink, no Grenard, no Cashman, no Byron Murphy, no Harry. And Durante Jones, by the way, I believe called all the plays. Now, I could be wrong on that, but that's what it sounded like on the broadcast as well.
They said, did they say that Flores maybe called the first drive, and then they handed the keys over to Durante?
Kevin O'Connell did that. I don't know if Flores did the same thing, but it was very watered down, not really the Flores defense. So I wouldn't look into the team result too much at all.
Sometimes it feels like during a long summer after we've done deep dives on draft guys and rookies come in, even UDFAs, it feels like sometimes, and I'm talking about myself more than anybody, we overshoot or we pencil in some guys. We get a little ahead of ourselves. Kobe King, I just assumed, and this could still come to fruition, it's just going to leapfrog Brian Asamoah. Brian Asamoah didn't have the worst day in the world, though, either. So maybe that competition is still, in the mix. And again, it's just tough just going off notes and what we hear, the buzz, the rumors, things like that. We're not at practice every day, but it sounds like maybe it feels like at least after this game, a little bit bigger sample size that we actually got to see with our own two eyes. Feels like Brian Asamoah and this Kobe King quote unquote battle, maybe a lot closer than maybe I personally anticipated. You guys feel the same way?
I feel like it's going to require a decent amount for Asamoah to get back into that number 4 linebacker spot. Like, I think some of us thought that Eric Wilson may or may not work out, like more of a coin flip in May or June. I think it's pretty clear he's their third linebacker. He is the Kamu Grugier-Hill. He is the green dot of the second team. Ron Johnson pointed that out on his show. And then you've got Kobe King, who's definitely going to make this team. They're not going to cut ties, I don't think, with one of their 5 draft picks, and he's certainly gotten the camp work to indicate that they like him enough. And this is just a tough contractual situation for Asamoah. Like, even if it's a tie or even a slight advantage in play to Asamoah, they're going to give it to the guy with the 40 years of team control and the upside. Like that, we've just seen so much evidence that they don't trust or like Asamoah in this defense with Brian Flores. For whatever reason, that was a Donatel guy. And I think Braun may have said this on a previous squad show, might be showcasing him, might be just giving him every rep they can just to put him out there.
Give him the best chance and say, resurrect. Yeah. We saw all this potential in you, and let's try to resurrect it, The
Lewis Cine blow-up game. The Lewis Cine blow-up game.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The two quarterbacks, the quarterback room just in general. Obviously, Zamiah Vaughn, Sam. Well, I guess we're all kind of high on him, or just kind of hopeful for him as a guy that maybe could make the practice squad or even potentially make the team, just because that cornerback after Okudah seems pretty wide open, Okudah and Blackman. But McLaurin getting some heavy second team run there, which I'd like to see. Don't know, again, tough to see some of these passing plays without the all-22. But I felt like both those young guys, it was just nice to see them out there in the mix a little bit. That secondary as a whole, having said that, just feels like a total hodgepodge. I don't feel like I have a lot of clarity outside of what we've already talked about leading up to this game as far as Blackman, Okudah, those are your 3 and 4. Safety, Theo Jackson's your 3. Outside of that, I'm just shrugging my shoulders. I don't feel like I really learned a ton in that secondary group.
I don't know if Jay Ward really popped. I think Jay Ward's, trying to solidify safety 4. I think Zamiah Vaughn's probably trying to solidify cornerback 6, and you could argue those are the last available spots at those positions. I'm super biased, Braun. I'm so high on Vaughn. He had one big hit where he kind of went low and really popped a guy. Did see him get picked on one weighty down. Did you get a good read on Vaughn? Because he was at times getting first team reps.
The weighty down you're talking about, by the way, it was an all-out double A gap mug look, right? All-out blitz, 0 blitz, 3rd and 4, I want to say. And it's just too soft a coverage, right? Young kid, you gotta get up there and press and expect that a quick throw is coming out of that quarterback's hands, and probably learning experience for sure. But definitely a learning moment for sure. Didn't get burned for the big, on again, 0 blitz. Don't get burned on the big touchdown, right? But nonetheless, it's a learning experience for him for sure.
Yeah. So the way that these Belichick defenses teach it, when you're in that 0 look, that 0 blitz look, you don't have any safety help, is you play way off and you basically watch the receiver beat 1, beat 2, and then you're supposed to basically break if you see them do something. And then you watch the quarter, and then your eyes snap to the quarterback. So Zamiah Vaughn's eyes should have been on that receiver, seen him run a slant and break on it right away, and he was late to do that. So that's rookie, right? Like you got to process that a lot faster. You got to get more comfortable. But he tackled well. He played a lot, tackled well all day. Like you guys said, it's hard to see on TV. They're not on the screen for most of the play. Well, how am I supposed to know what they're doing? But I didn't see anything that would throw me off of whatever my opinion of Zamiah Vaughn was going in, which is that, he's probably in a good position to get that 6th cornerback spot. Great interception for Ambry Thomas, another gift. So I don't know how much it moves me. And everything else you see on the secondary, like that, I didn't really see any movement one way or another in the secondary at safety or at corner, but a lot of that is because I can't see what's going on.
Plenty more deep dive, maybe a little preview of the joint practices coming up. I got to ask you guys about some special teams stuff as well. That's all coming up, though, right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by 5 Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. Golf's all about good times with good people and good flavors too. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of the clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. That's the number 5hourenergy.com and use my promo code here, Locked On Golf, to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders as well. Whether you're meeting up with friends, trying to turn 18 into 36 holes, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today with promo code Locked On Golf for 20% off your entire order today. Hey, how we feel about Will the Thrill? Is he back?
I've got so this is nice. The one thing I gleaned.
That's nice.
Being in the building. I was watching because I'd heard he'd been struggling at camp, right?
Yep.
I sit down.
We're talking about Kai Forbath on the last squad show.
I'll never stop talking about Kai Forbath.
I sit in my seat. I look down to my right. They're doing extra points, warming up 30 minutes before the game. I saw Will Reichard push an extra point 10 yards right. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was some flash photography going on, though. You got to lighten
the upright. He might have been aiming for the upright. That's like a thing, actually. Blair Walsh used to do that all the time.
Distracted by the skull line or distracted by the smoke and the fake snow. But no, I like to see him make all of his kicks. The 48-yarders seem to have a lot of hard to tell how accurate it was, like within the post, but he did make it. Was that down the middle? Did he can it?
It was pretty
pretty good.
Yeah,
between the pipes.
It was pretty clean for sure.
I couldn't tell if he snuck it in or not. Yeah, that was a good boot. And then 3 for 3, 4 for 4 today.
Yeah, 4 for 4, 2 for 2 on field goals, long of 48, and then obviously 2 extra points. Ryan Wright, Oscar Chapman. Wright gets 2, Chapman gets 1. Chapman 52-yarder
leads to a fumble. Chapman
to a fumble by Ty Felton. Thank you. Ryan Wright 2 for a $103. Virtually the same exact average, 52 yards. Ryan Wright obviously got one inside the 20 though as well. Anything there? Anything at all? Is this still Ryan Wright's job to lose? Obviously, unless something pretty wild happens at camp.
I think so. I have nothing to indicate that Oscar Chapman is going to steal that away.
Yeah.
From him, based on what I've heard, and I haven't seen anything that Ryan Wright's done that would say he's on the hot seat, and I think he's an important part of the battery with DePaula and Reichert. So I think that it's probably a 70% bet or better that Ryan Wright's your punter. I think the more intriguing battles are probably the return spots. By the way, what do you guys think of the new kickoff rules? I had a hard time following at times in the building. But it does add kind of another layer of intrigue. Like there was the one moment I think where the Texans fielded it like at the 1 yard line and kind of late, and then they had to return it, and it was kind of interesting. But what you guys
probably didn't notice this in the building, Sam, but they also started a little trial and error with the new measurement rules, right? The chain gang stays on the sideline now, and now they got a couple different camera views and angles. They mesh them all together, and they find out exactly. Down to the inch, how far away that spot is.
Yeah,
now,
I like the little 10 inches.
Yeah.
It's not 4th and inches. It was 4th and 10 inches. Like they actually could tell you.
Now that's great. Super accurate. Love that. The problem is what happens when somebody has a bad spot though, right? And you're like, wait.
Well, and then
did you see that guy?
The ref like picked the ball up to like put it back on like where it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And there's no way that was to the inch accurate. Like he was eyeballing that. So there's still like a funny fake
There's
precision.
Still the human element to it, right? Yeah.
But I think it did take a little while, but it took less time than having 2 refs like physically jog out and set the measurement. Like I still think it was a lot faster than that. And that was nice.
And it should only get more efficient and more faster too. This is like, this is day one training camp for them, basically.
Right. They have to like assemble the 3D model of like where the ball is, which is going to take a minute. But I think that's still a lot better than waiting for the measurement and the like imprecision of that. You can at least take one little imprecision out, even though the spot is still, eyeballed and the actual, placement of the ball is eyeballed and all that stuff is still going to make for like a margin of error.
Chain gang should unionize.
They're going union. They're going union.
It still exists. They're still there. They just don't have to run out and back anymore. If anything,
AI's
they have
taking
to do
over everything. Not okay.
We're going to be replaced soon.
Yeah.
By the way, full deep dive on this one coming up. Minnesota Squad Party with our guy Arif Hassan. Make sure you like and subscribe. Keep up with all the action. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. We finally got a taste of football. Football's back. I was jacked up, man. It's just a small sip from the Purple Cup tonight, right? But what's next? What do you guys want to see more of now? Like, what questions have arisen now after watching that first preseason game? What are you craving to see at these, joint practices, next week's matchup versus the Pats when Drake May comes to town? What's on the forefront of your mind now, next, in chapter 2 of this preseason book?
Yeah. The Patriots joint practices, this is probably, and it has been for the past couple of years, the joint practices are the pinnacle of the preseason, more so than the games. And it used to be that you had the nice buildup from preseason game 1 to 2 to 3 for the dress rehearsal, and then it tailed off. Well, I think we saw the best football game that we are going to see today. We got to see some starters play football. I don't know if that's going to happen again. They've basically confirmed JJ McCarthy's done for the preseason. They think they're just going to rely on the work he gets against New England, which I support, and I'm excited to see those practices. Hope to get out there. That's really what we have to look forward to. And from that point on, then I think you just hold your breath every day and say, is everyone staying healthy? Is Justin Jefferson back out there? And then we're on the countdown to cutdown day. Like a lot of the good stuff, it was today and it's this week against the Patriots. So let's see how they fare against a Patriots team that's probably got a chip on its shoulder. They've got a good young quarterback like J.J. McCarthy. They've got some talent on that team. Also some former Vikings. Stephon Diggs coming to town. I think we'll have some good battles to watch this week.
Yeah, some good storylines there for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Another former Viking, Kyrie's Tonga, coming back to town. For me, all eyes are going to be on Donovan Jackson. I thought this was a pretty bad debut. He had the one where he tripped that got like a lot because you had like this slow motion, beautiful angle because of the JJ McCarthy pass that came after it. But it was more the very first rep he whiffed really bad and it forced Ty Chandler to bounce out or Jordan Mason to bounce out. There was another one deep in the play where he gave up the pressure. I don't remember where the pressure, like it was a 9-play drive and he had like 3 or 4 pretty bad mistakes. That's really bad for an offensive lineman who can usually only 3 or 4 mistakes a game.
That's like Rams playoff bad we were watching.
That's really bad. So, hey, welcome to the NFL, right? Everyone has their moment. It's the preseason. It's his first thing ever. I'm not going crazy on him. But I do want to see that. I need to see him settle down and improve.
Speaking of Settle, he was going up against Tim Settle on quite a few reps. Tim Settle, 5 sacks last year. I want to say almost 40 pressures as well. So not like a slouch, you know what I'm saying? Not like, oh my gosh, he's getting whipped up by a second teamer out there. No, I mean, he's going against the guys he's going to go up against.
Yeah, like that guy's going to make the team.
Yeah, 100%, no doubt. Something I'm kind of thinking about in the back of my mind. Again, I think we're all on the Dwight McGlothern train. We all want to see Vaughn produce and at least make the practice squad. But just free agents kind of floating out there after this first preseason game. Usually there's a couple injuries, obviously. But, cornerback and secondary, I guess, as a whole. But that was one of our biggest question marks. I'm not saying I feel that much differently waking up tomorrow morning, but you still got Asante Samuel Jr. sitting out there. You still got Stephon Gilmore sitting out there. I'm just wondering if Brian Flores is wondering about, after I go back and watch that tape, watch the All-22, how do I feel about this cornerback group? And do I want to go make a phone call to a guy that I know knows my system, like Gilmore? I don't know. Is Shaq Griffin still out there too? I have no idea.
He is not. But he went back to Seattle.
Oh, he's back in Seattle. Still a couple names though, right? Quote unquote bigger names for the free agency pool being August 9th now. I'm just wondering if there's any moves that any splashes. Not saying big splashes, but just splashes for the free agent pool that they bring in, or where in general, where these guys go. Asante Samuel Jr. is playing football somewhere. If Stephon Gilmore wants to play football, I'm sure he will play football somewhere this year. So if there's any moves to be made, I feel like at some point, usually it's after this first preseason game. Again, given the injuries and then just seeing these guys under a little bit bigger sample size against different competition that they haven't been facing the last, 4, 5, 6 weeks. What else do you guys want to talk about? A couple minutes left here. Maybe we should do a quick little break here. And then I don't know if anybody tallied it up, but I would love to know who had the biggest day in our fantasy preseason league. That's all coming up right after this. So again, yearly tradition, had the big fantasy preseason draft on the last episode. I'm going to be totally honest. I just remember my first 2 picks. Okay. Gabe Murphy and Bo Rick. You guys sniped all the running backs. We didn't do quarterbacks this year. I think I got 1 receiver in the mix. I know Gabe Murphy had a heck of a day. Hopefully he carried my squad, but anybody else feel good or maybe not so confident once I'm sure Arif adds all these up and we check out the final tally after preseason game 1 on Monday morning.
Yeah. Inman's being modest here because his team cleaned up today. Lucky Jackson, Jayshon Jones, Gabe Murphy.
See, I can't come on here and say it. I can't be that guy.
You
can say it.
Yeah, let's change the subject. This is a sore spot. Giovanni Ricci didn't get nearly enough work today. I mean, that's the biggest downside of this entire day. The Italian Stallion didn't get a target. Come on.
Yeah, a lot of
We have
blocking for
against
him,
Italy.
and even some more attempted blocking that didn't turn into real blocking.
How many
kind of rough
reps?
day, I thought.
How many reps did Justin School play? By the way, just he might be out there, right? Week 1, week 2, we don't know. I'm not sure
He
exactly.
started.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Okay,
So,
so
this has been a little bit of an interesting subplot this week, where Justin School has had a pretty rough camp. A lot of that has been Jonathan Grenard just like smoking him, and it's like, how mad are you about that?
Yeah.
Because Grenard has been kind of doing that to everybody, but he's struggled a lot. And then suddenly, in the last practice before this game, Walter Rouse got the first team reps there. And you're going, wait a minute, what's happened? Well, that didn't happen in the preseason. He played, and then Walter Rouse came in. He played as much as JJ McCarthy played. And then Walter Rouse came in and replaced him at left tackle there. And Rouse gave up, I think he also played some right tackle, Walter Rouse did, and he gave up 1 sack, which I would put on Brett Rippon more. It was one of like the one where Brett Rippon looked like a statue and didn't move at all and held the ball way too long. And I wasn't really that mad about Walter Rouse for that one. But I do think there's still a little bit of intrigue there for who gets that job. And I want to look at the contract, because if Justin School doesn't have a ton of guaranteed money on his contract, that might not be a guaranteed roster spot if he loses the job to Walter Rouse. Only $250,000 guaranteed and $500,000 in a signing bonus. So okay. 750K of his 1.17 million. That's more than half of his contract.
Let's consider that last year the Vikings signed Stephon Gilmore on August the 18th. So that's probably after preseason game number 2. So the indicator is that they're not concerned with making a move that late in the game. Like if there's someone that can help them at that late date, I think that's certainly in play, whether that's another swing tackle. And hey, I mean, look at the resume of Justin School. This is not like a journeyman who has started in multiple spots and had like, a couple like really high end years. Like he's got a pretty lackadaisical resume without a lot of sustained work. So it wouldn't surprise me if something like that were to happen, where the team just is unimpressed with his work and maybe they like Walter Rouse a little bit more. And I wanted to put the odds at, with the Rondale Moore injury, guys, what are the chances they sign Brandon Powell this week? Brandon Powell is still out there for signing for $1 million.
Cam Akers 2.0. Just bring him back.
Pretty good idea, I think.
Bring him back. Yeah, really good idea, especially with the special teams, obviously, contributions. For sure. Is there any inklings, or what odds do you guys have as far as Darrisaw? Like, I haven't heard any news of as far as, he might not start week 1, but like starting on the pup. Like, no. Okay,
He's been playing so much in camp. There's no way.
Okay, here's why I asked.
That would feel crazy if they played him all that in camp and then like still had to pup him. I would be worried that they re-aggravated
something happened. Yeah, okay, that makes me feel better, because here's just what I'm thinking, or worried about, I guess. Addison's out the first 3 games. If Darrisaw's not out there the first, let's just say 2. Maybe I'm even overshooting that. Maybe it just starts week 1, but there's not a lot of clarity on it, right? Not a lot of just not a lot of answers, I guess, at this point. This offense could start out slow. If Jalen Nailor's your 2 all of a sudden, is Ty Felton your 3? Who is it? Is Brandon Powell coming back into the mix? And then Justin School, like we were just talking about, plus a rookie left guard who didn't have a great day, like Luke pointed out. This offense could start out the gate a little slow. At Soldier, always tough at Soldier for anybody, even a veteran. But, let alone JJ McCarthy making his first NFL debut, obviously on prime time and all that. And then you come home, which I did point out last show, against 2 soft defenses, the Falcons and then the Bengals as well. But I guess maybe we're just all assuming, and I'm speaking more for myself here, guys, but like this offense and this team is going to come up. The offensive line is going to be great because all the improvement. I wouldn't be surprised, though, maybe this offense just in general, between the receivers and the offensive line, does start out the gate a little bit slow.
That's totally fair.
Yeah. I think it is too. I think other than Patrick Mahomes, most quarterbacks debuting are not red hot out of the gate. Bo Nix last year was not great out of the gate. Now he got there, he figured it out. It's probably more realistic that we will have to endure some hiccups early in the season. If you're a Vikings fan, you're going to have some patience. I beg of you to have some patience. There's always the halftime of week 1 tweets that are giving up. on a player or the season, don't.
You just start posting mock drafts, and I think people are just not built to be sports fans.
It's the dudes who smash the over 8.5 and they start 1 and 2, or you know what I'm saying? Like they just start a little bit
9.5 now. By the way, it moved.
It is.
It moved. It moved on the same day that the Diana Rossini, Colin Cowherd, JJ McCarthy stuff came out.
I missed it.
Meanwhile, everybody's hammering the Vikings over.
Hilarious.
Wow. It's just Colin Cowherd concern trolling about JJ McCarthy because he's hated him since Michigan. It's nothing to pay attention to.
The Vikings are the only team that people are betting up. Like the other 3 teams in the division were all getting bet down
all off season.
Yeah. I mean, and I think 8.5 was always too low of a number. I think 9.5 is much more appropriate when you think about what this head coach has done. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy your text during the game, Luke Inman. Jordan Addison's not going to play in America until like week 7.
Week 7, man. Well, you got the 2 international, then you got the bye after obviously 2 international games. Week 7 at home at the bank versus Philly. First time Jordan Addison's going to be playing football again back on the American soil. Pretty crazy. I'm looking at around the division, just some other scores here. Again, we're talking about preseason, but Packers playing right now. Again, eyes on the Bears quite a bit, just what Caleb Williams and that first team offense looks like under their new head coach. They play tomorrow at noon, and then Detroit already played last night. They beat the Falcons 17-10. Not a ton to glean or learn from that Lions game from what I saw, or any of these games, to be honest. But again, if you're trying to watch the starters, maybe a little information can be had. Again, tomorrow, that Bears game plays the Dolphins. That's in Soldier at noon. So you might want to check that out. Any parting thoughts before we get out of here, guys? Any again, just final notes, maybe something that we didn't touch on, anything coming to the top of the forefront of your mind here before we get out of here as far as a winner, a loser, whatever it may be?
If you want to hear a victory lap from Ron Johnson, his guys performed well today.
Big day for Ron Johnson's guys.
Yeah.
Max Brosmer, his Gophers guy, looked good. Other than the fumble snap,
Ariante Ursary looked by
good.
the way.
Yeah, Ariante Ursary on the other side, another Ron Johnson guy. Daniel Jackson, I don't know what he did today on the other side. So a lot of Ron guys in this game. But a dime of a touchdown from Max Brosmer to Miles Price,
who had to come back out, right? Price. They thought they had the tug, and then
it turned out Dante Fleming dropped it, and then 4th down, he throws a strike to the back of the end zone. Perfect. It was a lot. I think I wrote in my notes, I wrote the word strike like 5 times on Brosmer's. He looked nice, not hitting deep down the field or anything like that, which is probably where you see the ceiling. I still see a very like Sean Mannion-ish career arc for him, where he's the guy that's going to, complete everything within 6 yards. And then that's about it. But that gets you QB2, QB3 in this league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. We'll see if that momentum can keep up next week. Again, Patriots joint practices this week. That'll be the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes. And then preseason game 2 versus the Pats back at the bank. That's next week, next Saturday. That's a noon kickoff. And again, of course, Monday, squad party. Right here, right on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Our guy Arif Hassan, he'll have all the fantasy points added up. And again, we'll be previewing the entire week with the Patriots in town with Drake May. Drake May, a little storyline there, by the way, this week. Drake May, JJ McCarthy, they're always going to be linked, obviously, a little bit. Crazy quarterback class last year. The more the dust settles a little bit after Bo Nix went off and everything else. I'm sure Drake May and JJ McCarthy, everybody will be comparing notes and stats and snap by snap. I'm interested to see how Drake May handles this Brian Flores pressure in those joint practices, because Flores is calling the shots and not Durante Jones. I'm sure he's going to dial it up quite a bit. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. Check out Ron Johnson, by the way, on the Ron Johnson Show every Tuesday. Luke Braun always killing it over on Locked On Vikings. Again, new episode dropping Monday morning. Don't miss that. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you next Saturday after the noon game versus the Patriots. But until then, signing out.